Hello and welcome to another one of those Tinto Talk Wednesdays, where I have a look at the latest Tinto Talk and we just explore it together and we get all of the information about this game that we are all so very, very hyped for. This is the 45th Tinto Talk. We're going to be talking about the climate and what all of the different climates mean for the game. Before we get into it though, if you want to help me out, hit the subscribe button. I would like to get to 30,000 before too long. It would be very cute to get there before Valentine's Day. I don't know. I'm not putting a date on it, but it would be cool to get to 30k. Anyway, let us get into the lovely Tinto Talk. Happy Wednesday, where we talk about our super secret game with the codename Project Caesar, asking you for feedback. Today we're going to go into details about how terrain works in the game. To iterate from the map, Tinto Talks, or the Tinto Maps, I guess, for almost a year ago, each location has... the map Tinto Talks, which is like one of the first ones that we had. Yeah, Tinto Talks number 2. How long ago was that now? The 6th of March, so we're like 10 months ago now. From almost a year ago, each location has 3 different attributes instead of a single one as previous games had. This creates more variation and allows us to more granular control over gameplay. I don't know if I agree with this, because climate was a thing in EU4, and also every province had a terrain. You could have an Arctic grassland, right? That wasn't impossible. Arctic woodland, all that kind of stuff. I definitely, I'm pretty sure this is going to affect more things than those did. That was mostly a, oh, you're trying to colonize Greenland or Newfoundland? Please, this is painful for you. Enjoy it. That's basically what it amounted to, but yeah, definitely had more than a single value in EU4. It creates more variation, though. I totally agree with that, and allows more granular control over the gameplay. Each location has a climate, a topography, and a vegetation set. Sea locations do not have vegetation, though. Cool. So, for climate, here we have continental. They have a maximum winter level. They have population capacity of plus 50%. And available land is attractive is yes. Okay. Continental represents areas with cold winters. Gotcha. Climate of a location impacts how well pops can live there, including how much food can be produced. It also affects the maximum winter level of a location. And you know what might be a good idea is to pull up the Tinto map of the whole world, which is right here, and we can have a look at climate map. Here we go. This is the climate map of the whole world. And so continental is from Poland going into Russia, that kind of way, northern USA area, northern China, Korea, northern Japan, that kind of way. That's what we're looking at here. All right. So tropical now, population capacity is plus 50%, development growth minus 10%, so there's some extra stuff here. Life expectancy, which does not apply to pops, it applies to characters, and free capacity does attract pops. It does not have winters, and of course the tropical band across the entire planet is right there and very visible. Subtropical, population capacity of 100 extra percent. That's cute. It attracts pops. Max winter is mild. Subtropical represents areas with high average temperatures and mild winters. So subtropical is actually something I don't believe. Okay, here it is. Subtropical, there's not actually that much. Northern India, southern China, actually huge. I guess southern USA, Florida and the southern states, and then a bit here in middle of South America as well. There's a tiny bit of it. I believe that's what this little band is here in Italy as well. So now we have oceanic, population capacity of plus 50%. Max winter is mild, represents areas with mild winters but high humidity. So oceanic, lots of France, the Denmark, Netherlands, the UK, northern Spain, and not too much besides that. A little dotted around different areas. But those are the main spots of that. Arid, wheat production goes down, so it's cool that there's more different modifiers, right? There's not just, population capacity and max winter. Like, there's extra things. Wheat production in here, life expectancy. No precipitation is a thing. Okay. Arid represents an area that has a severe lack of available water, and I guess we can tell exactly where we're looking at arid. The Arabian Peninsula, North Africa, bits of South Africa, lots of Australia, the Middle East, Afghanistan, and that kind of area. Also, the mountainous areas of southern India, bits of America, the Galapagos Islands, naturally. But yeah, cool. Cold, arid, wheat production down as well. No life expectancy minus, though. It represents an area as a severe lack of available water, but it experiences winters. So cold, arid, we've got the steppe, really, is the big one, and the western USA and also southern South America, bits of South Africa as well. Mediterranean is plus 150 capacity, no winters, fully attracts pops. It represents areas with the perfect climate. Coming from a dude living in Sitges in Barcelona, it's not surprising. Not surprising that they would consider this. I mean, when you are from Stockholm, I don't know if he's from there, but he lived there, working for Paradox, and then they've moved to Barcelona. I mean, it's kind of obvious. I know myself living in Finland. I spent about 40 minutes this morning clearing snow off my driveway. So I definitely can see the benefits of a Mediterranean climate. But yes, okay, Johan, very, very nice. Continental, population capacity of only plus 50%. Max winter is normal. It represents areas with cold winters. So continental, again, we spoke about that already. It was the one with the picture. Arctic, minus 55 pop capacity, minus 25 development growth, minus 5 life expectancy. The max winter is severe, and it represents areas with very cold winters, like aforementioned Finland, and also Norway, northern Sweden, basically the Himalayan mountains, and basically anywhere that you've got like the mountain tips, probably you're going to see some Arctic there. But those are your main spots. Northern Russia as well. So, on to vegetations. So, we have grassland here giving population capacity plus 50,000. Okay, so we're now getting like basic numbers instead of modifiers. Okay. Represents terrain dominated by grass with little or no trees or shrubs. And it represents the foliage cover of a location. So, starting off, we have desert, and we can have sandstorms. Movement cost for armies plus 10%, so your armies will be moving slower. The RGO build time plus 50%, the road build time plus 100%, development growth minus 10, food production minus 33, and population capacity plus 10,000. They're barren landscapes with little precipitation and almost no potential for plant or animal life. So if we go on to, I believe it is, not the next map, but the next one after that, a lot of the desert is actually uncolonizable, but the areas in between these black bands would be your areas of, livable terrain. But, I mean, desert is barely a step over wasteland. So, yeah, not exactly a place that you would particularly want to be living in or building in. Sparse, road build time minus 10%, nice. Population capacity plus 25. It represents large flat areas of land with a few or no trees. And sparse, we can see here in the steppe area, makes sense there. This is actually, I guess sparse is just kind of dotted around all over the place. Like Himalayas here, lots of sparse, regular bits of sparseness in Anatolia and in Iberia. It's kind of, there's no big blocks of sparse. It's just kind of, other than here in the Americas, it's kind of just dotted around, I guess, is the way I'd put it. Grasslands, we saw that already, 10% food production, 50% population capacity. And grasslands are everywhere. Ukraine, full of grasslands, dotted around, France. Not so much in Germany, there's a lot of woodland there. Grassland all over China and Manchuria. Grasslands a ton in Africa, ton in South America, good bit in the Americas as well. It's probably the most common, I would say, other than maybe forest. Farmland, movement cost for armies plus 10%. I guess this is kind of to represent needing to follow roads, needing to not trample over farmland, because then you ruin food production. I like that. I like that that's been thought of. Road build time plus 10%, development growth plus 10%, population capacity plus 100,000, maximum RGO size plus 10%, and food production plus 33. Represents the anthropogenic terrain devoted to crops and/or extensive pastures. I don't really know where we find. Okay, no, I found it. There's a bunch of farmlands here. Actually, it's the deeper, like more vibrant green. So northern France, bit of southern England, dotted around in Germany, Poland, Hungary area, northern India. There's a few spots of it in China, a tiny bit there in Africa. I don't see any in the Americas though. Denmark looking good for farmland as well. Woods, moving cost for armies plus 25. Attacker dice roll in battle -1. Maximum frontage in battle -2. I like this, but I kind of wish that it was for both sides. I mean, I guess in this is, but just the modifier itself. This is more a complaint about the military system in general. But I'm not a fan of like having both sides having different frontage, because it's kind of like global naval engagement in EU4, which is a pretty toxic modifier to stack. But anyway, road build time plus 25%, population capacity plus 50,000, dev growth -20, and food growth plus 10. And it blocks vision from adjacent sea, which I think is really, really cool as a modifier. Very, very cool indeed. Represents terrain with less dense vegetation than forests. Woods are the lighter green one here. Basically, you find that on the borders of forests, essentially. And for forests, 50% move cost, so even worse than armies, of course. Dice roll in battle, maximum frontage. Road build time plus 50, RGO build time plus 33, population capacity plus 25,000, dev growth -25, blocks vision from adjacent sea and adjacent land, so you can hide your armies in forests, and your enemy could be stood next to you and they would not see you. I think that is so freaking cool. Like, I love that this is a thing that this game can do. It's going to make military matters really, really quite exceptionally fun, I think. Multiplayer, I think, with this system is going to be really, really interesting. Jungle now. Movement cost for armies plus 100%. They've also got a -1 attacker dice roll in battle. Frontage -4. RGO build time plus 200%. Sorry, that's road build time. RGO is plus 50%. Population capacity plus 50,000. Development growth minus 50%. And then also blocks vision from adjacent sea and land. It represents terrain with dense forest and tangled vegetation that makes doing anything on the land difficult. So jungles, of course, if we want to go a bit more south, Central Africa, bits of India, Southeast Asia, Indonesian islands, the Amazon areas in Central America. Lots of jungles there where you'd expect them, bits in Australia as well. Now on to the topography. Topography represents the roughness and elevation of the land within a location. Flatter topography is generally better for growing towns and cities, while rougher topography is easier to defend. So the first ones are land-related topographies. So starting off, we have flatland, represents terrain that does not have any major topographical variation. So there's no impediments for army movement or building development. There are 0 modifiers. Mountains now. Movement cost for armies plus 100%. Attacker dice roll in battle -2. Okay, this is really cool then. You can have attacker dice roll in battle for the topography and for the vegetation. So essentially you can have a woodland mountain giving a -3. I think that's really cool. Movement completely blocked in winter. Maximum frontage in battle -4. Road build time plus 200%. RGO build time plus 100%. Population capacity -80%. That is huge. Development growth -70%. Food production -20%. Blocks vision, again, from adjacent sea and adjacent land. Very cool. I think this is basically... mountains are going to be used for defensiveness purposes. That's kind of it. I think northern Italy is going to be a really fun place to play if you can acquire yourself some mountain passes to defend against the Germans, the French, the Austrians, etc., trying to encroach upon your land. Yeah, mountains look like a really, really useful bit of kit. Mountain terrain is a high altitude and also steep slopes with relatively few and narrow flat areas, so it's more difficult for armies to cross and fight in it, also more difficult to develop. Hills now, movement cost plus 50%, so they're a lot slower there as well. Dice roll in battle -1, frontage in battle -3. Road build time 50, RGO build time 25, so they take longer. Development growth -30, food production -10, and again, blocks vision from adjacent sea and land. Hills are relatively common, right? We can zoom in here. Hills being the kind of grayish one that we can see in central Germany, all throughout England. Hills, actually, where we see the Ural Mountains as well. Hills are just kind of dotted around everywhere, right? They're not in very specific like mountain chains like we see with the mountains, which obviously you can see all the mountains everywhere. As I was saying, northern Italy, really, really defensible. I think one of my first multiplayer games is probably going to be as Milan. For that reason, looking forward to that for sure. But yeah, no, definitely seeing some very heavy hill spread across the world. So good defensive terrain, bit of Anatolia there as well. Plateau, movement cost for armies plus 25%, attacker dice roll -1, maximum frontage in battle -1, road build time plus 50%, RGO build time plus 25%, development growth -25, and it blocks a vision from adjacent sea. It represents relatively flat areas situated at high altitudes, so they have some penalties compared to flatlands due to their elevation. So, plateaus... that is, I believe, yeah, this kind of orangey browny one. We see it in the Iberian Peninsula. You see it in Anatolia, all throughout the Middle East, Tibet, north of China. Lots of it in Africa as well. Lots of it in the Americas. Right, very cool. Wetlands now. Movement cost for armies plus 50%. Attacker dice roll -1. Maximum frontage in battle -3. RGO build time plus 75%. Road build time 75%. RGO build time 25%. Development growth -30%. And food production -10%. Areas of terrain that's partially flooded, generally due to being near a river, lake, or coast. So if we have a look here, wetlands are the cyan color. We see a lot in Hungary. You see a lot in... the Netherlands, see a bunch in Russia, a bunch in southern USA, all along the Amazon River, a bit in the what's called the drainage basin, not that. What's it called the frickin' estuary? That's it. Of the Nile. Yeah, it's kind of dotted around all over the place. Very cool indeed. But now we have the naval terrain, naval topography, which I think is really cool that this exists. Ocean, naval attrition +1. It's the open sea between continents where only the best of ships can travel. Alright, this, I feel like only the best of ships can travel. This is more important than it's being made out. This is like flavor text. This should be a part of the modifiers, right? Because we know that if we have a look at oceans here, especially deep ocean as well. Ocean is where, your trade ships, your light ships, your early ships will not be able to traverse it. So we're going to need, better, bigger ships to actually go into the ocean. So it is actually a mechanical difference, not a flavor thing. Deep ocean, now it's got 2% naval attrition. Open sea between continents, where only the best ships can travel in the furthest areas from any coast. Coastal ocean has no special attributes. See, open sea between continents, where the best... Wait, I'm not sure this is correct. This might need changing. Coastal ocean is not where only the best ships can travel. But yeah, deep ocean, here we saw that. And then coastal... What was it? Coastal ocean? I guess, is the one that hugs the coastline. Then we have inner sea. They can freeze over during winter. Inland seas represent the land enclosed seas like the Mediterranean or Baltic. You can see that here. I think this is also inland sea. Yeah, it is. You can barely see it here. Basically, all of the Indonesian islands, the South China Sea, north of Japan Sea. I can't remember what that sea's called. I think it's called the Japan Sea. The Gulf of Mexico, which probably should still remain being called the Gulf of Mexico, just to get a little bit political. South of the Caribbean as well. Yeah, lovely stuff. Narrows can freeze over during winter. They have movement cost for navies plus 20%. Attacker dice roll in battle -1. Maximum frontage in battle -2. And blocks visions from adjacent seas. There are areas of sea with proximity of coast on many sides, like straits, or the sea inside archipelagos where there's not much space for movement. That's really, really cool. That's super duper cool. I wasn't expecting these kinds of modifiers for narrows. We're seeing that in between Finland and Sweden near Åland. We're seeing a bit of narrows by Calais and London. We're seeing narrows in the Aegean Sea. I assume there's some more narrows that were... Yeah, there's some narrows here in Indonesia. Narrows just by the... I don't even know what this place is called. So the southern tip of Arabia and Africa, that area there. Gibraltar as well, it's looking like. And I think basically a lot of the areas between the Caribbean islands as well has got a lot of narrows there. That's super cool. I really like the addition of narrows. Those are really, really cool. Lakes, salt pans, and atolls exist, but are just graphical variants of coastal oceans, even if lakes could freeze over during winter. Stay tuned, next week we'll delve into the wonderful world of military objectives. I think this might be something to do with the AI control that you can give to armies, so that is going to be kind of interesting, and maybe it can entice some of the people still interested in Victoria 3, maybe make them a bit more interested in EU5, who knows. But yeah, that is your terrain, your climate, your topography, your vegetation, and how they affect the game. The one thing I would ask for is in the comments from Johan, hopefully he clarifies what kind of ships can travel in oceans, in deep oceans, in coastal oceans. I assume that coastal oceans are going to be fine for most ships, not the best ships. I hope he clarifies this and shows it as mechanics rather than just flavor text. But other than that, I'm really happy with what I see. I think this is such a huge upgrade over what we have in EU4, huge upgrade over what we have in like any of Paradox's games, CK, Vicky. It is, it's really, really nice. I like to see it. What do you guys think, though? Let me know in the comment section below. Reminder that if you would like to help me out, then a subscription doesn't cost you anything and helps me out and makes me quite happy to see number go bigger. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.